Welcome to another Microsoft Access 2010 tutorial. Today we're going to cover the way to make a report such as this one, or a form on the other hand, such as this one that has information from a table, which we're going to use our purchase order information from a table, and have a subform within the form that's going to list information. So these would be the items that are on purchase order 1, which is items of purchase order 10, and so on. So this will allow us to see in greater detail the information from one of our tables according to how our relationships are set up. You can do this with just about any tables. The only main thing is if you're using, for instance, the purchase order table, you need to run another query and build another report for the sub-report. And the sub-report we'll be using is right here, query for purchase order subform. This contains all information from our query based on our purchase order. There's our purchase order number, and all this was generated from a query. So basically, as long as you have a way to tie it to the table information, this will work. So what we need to do is create the first part of our form, which you can do that by coming to whatever table you're wanting. Select the table, go to create, hit form, and it will create this. We selected the table we want and we've created this part. The second part we need to do is to go to design and select the subform subreport option. So by selecting this, it will let us put the form in, and we can make it whatever size we want. Go ahead and put it in design view if you haven't already. Now we're able to select property sheet. Property sheet will allow us to connect the subform to the information we're wanting to connect it to. So let's go to the subform that we have built. There we go. So now we have that connected to our data that we're wanting. We can close this out. Go ahead and save it as and go ahead and put it in form view. So now, as you can see, we've created a form that will show the information from our table for purchase order 1, and will scroll across to different items that are located in the subform. Now, to demonstrate what would happen if we connected a subform, a form that had information for the subform that was not connected to the table we're using. In this case, we're using purchase order, so the purchase order number is connected to information in the table in the query, and everything that's running for the subform, everything in the subform is connected to the purchase order. So if we go back to property sheet to demonstrate why this wouldn't work, we're using purchase order. So what if we were to switch to sales order or receiving event subform? Let's try that. Actually, let's use this one. We have information here, but as you see, there are no areas for purchase order tied to any of these fields. We have invoice number, we have quantity, title, author. We have all this information, but we do not have the identifying ID from the purchase order table tying to any of this information. That has to be done through a query, and by doing a query with several tables, drawing out the ID with the information. So now you'll notice if we go from purchase order 1 to purchase order 2, the information in the subform as we switch purchase orders does not change because none of this is connected to the ID. The purchase order 12 ID is not connected to any of this information. So there's no reason for this information in the subform to change. That's why it is extremely important that the queries that you run to make your subform data sheet have the identifiers in them that are necessary for the table that you're using for your main form. This is a great way to make information usable for different areas, to see everything in one grouping. You can of course make this as elaborate as you want to, with drop-down menus and different things like that. This is just the basic way to use the subform feature. I hope you liked this video. I hope it helped. And if you'd like to see more tutorials on Microsoft Access 2010, please subscribe to our channel.